Hey YouTube, this is a response to Lego Desi. I don't know if I'm saying that right. They just made a video called Responsibility Puzzle for Determinists that I thought I'd better reply to as a determinist. And it would have been a little bit sooner, but me and my wife were just discussing determinism for like an hour, and I kind of got distracted with that. So now I'll do the video. And basically the puzzle, just to sort of boil it down for anybody who hasn't seen it, go see it. But if you don't, basically just talking about how a determinist can justify holding people responsible for their actions. And I would sort of take the Daniel Dennett approach, kind of a utilitarian approach to responsibility for one's actions, in that it enforces accountability and cooperation when you have some sort of legal system in place or set of rules to follow. Because in a deterministic system, the whole system affects everything else. You change the situation that someone is in, and their reactions will be different. If you create a system of laws where their actions have a consequence, that information will inform their decision-making process while still being a deterministic process. So, for example, someone who sort of thinks they might want to steal some stuff but understands that they will be held accountable and decides against it, that would be a good reason to have those laws in the first place. And the people that the laws don't deter from those actions need to be dealt with in such a way that they either don't do it anymore or they're just removed from society altogether, depending on the severity of the consequence. Be it murder or something, it would be a lot more beneficial to society to remove them for at least some amount of time than a small theft or something like that, where it might not require as much of a consequence to get the point across, to get them to sort of change their ways or whatnot. And so it's basically just a way to inform the decision-making process of deterministic thought processes. And really, I can't think of any other way to have a stable society that doesn't include some form of accountability for one's actions, because it would just sort of devolve into anarchy. And so, deterministic or otherwise, that's a system that you have to have in place for society to work. So that's the system we have in place. I highly suggest actually reading Daniel Dennett's old book. I think it came out in the early 80s, called Elbow Room. The subtitle is The Varieties of Free Will Worth Wanting, which basically goes into all the different forms of free will that people talk about, and whether or not any particular form is likely to actually be real, and the different types that are actually worth having in Daniel Dennett's opinion. And I agree with him for the most part, so in that case at least. So it's a very interesting book to read if you haven't read it. And so basically it boils down to, deterministically, we have to have a system of responsibility for one's actions, because that's just how to have a stable society. I'm not sure of any other way that we could do it that would maintain a stable society while not holding people accountable for their actions, regardless of if they really decided to commit those actions or not, in the sort of philosophical sense. So anyway, hope that answers your question, and see you later.